Hope everything's going well with you wherever you are. Now, let's come to Jeremiah 30, and let's think about Israel. And let's think about Ephraim and Manasseh. Let's pick it up in verse 7, Jeremiah 30. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay. Are we entering the time of Jacob's trouble? Now let's analyze this a little differently. Okay. Let's come back to Genesis 48. Now, this is going to tell us something and why America and Britain have been ruling the world for the last 500 years. Okay? Now, that's an important factor. Think about what history could possibly have been like if America and Britain were not ruling the world. What would it be like if Hitler ruled the world? Okay. What's it going to be like when China thinks it's ruling the world? How do they treat people? Verse 11, Genesis 48. Now this is the blessing of Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay. Verse 11, Israel said to Joseph, I would not have thought to see your face, and lo, God has shown me also your offspring. And Joseph brought them from between his father's knees, and he bowed his face to the earth, and Joseph took both of them, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left, and Manasseh in his left toward Israel's right hand. And he brought them near. Israel stretched out his right hand and set it upon Ephraim's head. Now, the top blessing is to go to the firstborn, and Manasseh was the firstborn. Now, many times you see that because God also can change that he does change it. All right? So here it is. Who was the younger and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, crossing his hands. Now, even to this day, the Brits say that's why you have the Union Jack of the Commonwealth or Britain, because of the crossing of the hands. And when you go to Britain, and you go to the cathedral there, and you go to the king's house there, it's all about Israel. And when the king or queen of Great Britain are coronated, they sit in this wooden chair. Now, there's been an argument between Scotland and England over who owns the chair and who owns the stone, and what the stone is, called the Stone of Scone. That may be, so we'll put question mark, okay? That may be the stone that was called Jacob's pillar stone or pillow stone, okay? Because that was what he laid his head on the night that after he struggled with God, and God gave him the blessing. Okay? All right, let's go on. Now, verse 15, and he blessed Joseph. Now, Joseph, when he blesses Joseph, that's blessing both Ephraim and Manasseh, okay? and Joseph himself. Sometimes in prophecy, it's about Joseph. So when it is, it includes Britain and America today at the end time. Other times, it doesn't tell us very clearly. Okay. And he blessed Joseph, saying, "May God, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who led me all my life to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads." Okay, so he blessed Joseph and he blessed the lads. Now notice this next verse. "And let my name," what was his name? Jacob. God changed it to Israel. Okay. "Let my name be perpetuated in them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth." Now that's quite a blessing. Think about it. Okay. "And Joseph saw that his father had laid his right hand upon Ephraim, and it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, "Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put your right hand upon his head." And his father, though being 100 and what? Jacob at this time? 147. Yeah, he died at 147. Yeah. Well, when he came into Goshen and he met Pharaoh, he said, "My days are long and bitter." And he just started at that time to recover from the terrible thing that the brothers did to Joseph and to their father, because they didn't like what Joseph had said about his dreams, and that they would all bow down and worship him. They faked his death, sold him to a caravan going to Egypt, and he was enslaved. Okay? And then they took a goat and killed it and smeared blood all over his coat and took it to Jacob and said, "Joseph is dead." Now for 17 years. Can you imagine? Jacob thinking about that all that time? And then you go back and read all the other strife that they had. So that's why he said it was long and bitter. Okay? So he said, "I know it, my son, I know it. He shall also become a people. He also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations." And he blessed them that day, saying, "In you shall Israel bless, saying, God make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh." And he put Ephraim before Manasseh. Okay? And Israel said to Joseph, "Behold, I die, but God shall be with you and bring you again to the land of your fathers. And I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow." Then he called all the sons together. Okay? And Genesis 49 gives the blessing to every one of the 12 sons of Jacob, plus Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay? Notice what he says of Joseph. Verse 22. "Joseph is a fruitful bough by the wall, whose branches run over the wall, and archers have fiercely attacked him, and have shot at him and has hated him. Okay, have we always had war? I mean, think about that. I can't remember a time when we didn't have war. I can look back and see the history of World War I. I was 8 years old when World War II was declared on America. And then after that, we had the Korean War. And after that, we had the Vietnam War. And after that, then we had the 9/11. We had 2 Iraq wars. We had one long 20-year Afghanistan war. We have never had a time when we didn't have war. Okay? And whenever we've had war, what kind of war has it been? A war of liberation. Far different. Now think what it would be like if and when the Chinese come to America. It's going to be a real enslavement, okay? But the reason I'm doing this is so that when we talk about Jacob's trouble and the end time, what 2 nations right now are suffering the most from the high point of their existence? Ephraim and Manasseh, Britain and America. Now with Ephraim, it's also Canada, Australia, New Zealand, okay? So that's part of the end time prophecies we're looking at, all right? I'll let you read the rest of the blessing that was given there, okay? So the question is, does Jacob's troubles come as an introduction to all of the events at the end time? I don't know. So I'll ring the cowbell, okay? Could very well be. Why are we suffering the things we are now, the way that we are now, and also internally? Okay. Well, how many times have we covered this? Okay. All right. Let's see why. Let's come to Hosea 4. And Hosea is a book dedicated to the prophecies and punishments of the 12 tribes of Israel. That includes the Jews and Ephraim, Manasseh, and then the rest of the other 10 tribes. Verse 1, chapter 4. So think about this when you listen to the news. So here's the reason why. Verse 1, Hosea 4. Hear the word of the Lord, children of Israel. It's all 12 tribes. For the Lord is a controversy with the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth. Now think about when you watch television. How much truth is really there? And is the truth really the truth? See? Well, the number one sin of America is abortion. There are few people trying to stop it. There are several organizations making progress, and hopefully the cases before the Supreme Court will reduce it. But it's taken the death of 63 million innocent unborn for the nation to come to this point. And remember, God is not going to forget the blood of the innocents. Never will. no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. Now, there's only one commentator, and that's Greg Kelly on Max News, that has even mentioned the Bible or God. Nobody else. Okay? They all think, just like this presentation on who owns the world, at the end of it, his solution was, all people get together and we'll solve the problem. Really? That's what's caused the problem. Okay? Because the truth is, nobody can live their lives without God, whether they know God or not, because he's given everything that there is. You don't believe that statement? All right. See if you can force yourself then to survive by causing yourself to quit breathing. See? Now, how many seconds will you last? Maybe if you're really, really good and you got really, really strong lungs and you've been a pearl diver in the Indian Ocean, maybe you can go for 3 minutes without breathing. So that'd be interesting. During the break, run a little contest. Who can hold their breath the longest? Okay? See, that shows this. Every human being is dependent upon God. And we live and move and have our being because of him. Well, Israel was chosen to represent God to the world. But they failed. And the Christianity we have today, in the establishment Christianity, is pitiful. It is pitiful. Okay? They think they have the answers, but they don't even know who they are. All right? Children of Israel, there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood. Okay? That's what we have. Therefore the land mourns, and everyone who dwells in it shall languish. With the beasts of the field, with the birds of heaven, yea, even the fish of the sea shall be taken away. Now there are times when they couldn't explain it. 1 year, they didn't have a salmon run on the West Coast. Okay? Now, I don't know, remember which year it was, but think about that. The fish will be taken away. Verse 4, yet let no man strive or reprove another, for your people are as those who strive with the priest. You shall stumble in the day, and a prophet shall stumble with you in the night, and I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Yet we have more knowledge, more education than ever before. But is it really true? Or are they mostly lies? What is it that goes on in the world? See? Mostly lies. Now notice why. Because you have rejected knowledge. What is the knowledge that they have rejected? Now this is ironic, isn't it? God has sent his Bible, his word. You can go on Daystar, you can go on TBN, you can go on different channels. You can go on even the podcast and so forth. They have the Bible. They profess the Bible. They say they believe the Bible, but they don't. The Jews, the most pitiful people in the world, don't understand why for centuries they have gone through everything they have gone through. Does anybody know why? Well, they themselves brought it upon themselves when they said to Pontius Pilate, "Whom do you want, Barabbas or King of the Jews?" And they said, "We want Barabbas." Well, what about this man? Let his blood be upon us and upon our children. Of course, they had no idea that God would take them up on it. And it's a pitiful thing. And how bad did it get? I think one of the worst times in all the history of the Jews is the Holocaust. Aren't we glad there's a second resurrection? Okay? Look at what we're bringing upon ourselves right here. Okay? Because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you from being a priest to me. Since you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. And they're forgotten in how many ways? Sad thing. We say we love the children, but we have more abortions. We say we love the children, but now they want to vax them and give them all kinds of troubles in their minds and hearts and bodies. I will also forget your children. So you see, those things come. That's why we are where we are in the flow of his prophecy. All of these prophecies are coming to a head. All of them will be fulfilled. Not one word will be forgotten. Okay? Verse 7, as they were increased, so they sinned against me. I will change their glory into shame. Right now, are we not looking at the shame? Look at the pitiful leadership that we have. Abandoned forces in Afghanistan. Can't stand up against anybody in the world. The floodgates of immigration are wide open to anyone. All because forgotten God. So Jacob's troubles fit in to the end time prophecies very well when we understand who they are. Okay? Yes, I will change their glory into shame. Verse 8. They eat up the sin of my people, and they set their heart on their iniquity. Now think of that in relationship to all the sins. All breaking of the Ten Commandments. That's quite a thing. When we look at it the way that God looks at it, he offers repentance and forgiveness and help, and likewise with the churches of God. See? And it has become, like people, like priests, I will punish them for their ways and reward them for their doings, for they shall eat and not have enough. Isn't that interesting? We have foodless food. We got lots of food right now, but you can't get the nourishment from it. They shall commit whoredom and shall not increase, because they have stopped taking heed to the Lord. Whoredom and wine and new wine take away the heart, and let's add to it drugs. All the drugs. everything, and especially now, fentanyl. 2 little grains of fentanyl will kill you. You watch the news and see how much they have captured. No telling how much they missed. But there are tons of it. And who makes it? China. Who processes it and brings it here? Mexico. Now, all of these things could be stopped, not by forcing it to be stopped, but by people repenting and turning to God. That would be something. Wouldn't it be something if there was a mass movement among all the Protestant churches that different pastors, one after another, would get up in the pulpit and say, "We have been wrong. We have not taught you the truth. We have taught you lies. Sunday is not the Lord's day. Saturday, the Sabbath, is the Lord's day from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday." Now think about what would happen if something like that occurred. That would turn the whole economy in a completely different way. And the whole entertainment industry and athletic industry upside down. Okay? But they have been told over and over and over again that Sunday's the Lord's day. But that won't happen. Okay? Verse 12, "My people seek advice from their wooden idols, and their rod declares to them, for the spirit of whoredoms has caused them to go astray, and they have gone whoring away from under their God." That's exactly what has happened here. And that's a major part of the events at the end time. Okay? Now, let's come over to Daniel, the 9th chapter, and let's pick it up here again in summary of what we're going through. Daniel 9. Let's see if we can get a clearer picture of what's going on. Okay? But the time of Jacob's trouble is right now. And remember, it happened before. And if we would read the Bible and people would read the Bible and know who we are, they would see, yes, well, we're doing the same thing they did. But they don't. Okay? Chapter 9, let's focus in on that last week. Verse 26. "Now after 62 weeks, Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself." Now, if you don't have the book, The Appointed Times of Jesus, the Messiah, write for it, because we go through in detail, how do you count this? How do you figure that? And we also have another paper that Carl Franklin did quite some time ago, we'll have to dig it up again, which covers how do you understand all of Daniel 10 and 11. And one of the things in understanding it is that it doesn't flow in a chronological way in sequence. It flows to a certain king, and then there are gaps. And then it goes to another king, and then there are gaps. Okay? And the people of the prince, or the prince of the people, no, it says people of the prince. Now, that is Revelation 13, where John stood on the sand of the sea, and he saw rising up out of the sea the beast. Well, when it rises up, it just doesn't suddenly appear. It raises up and comes up and comes up and comes up. Okay? Then there will come a leader And remember, Revelation 13 covers the system, which then is called the beast, and 7 heads and 10 horns, which are the leaders. Okay. And a great leader, number 2, will come out of them, and he shall be called the beast. Now, how do we know that's true? How do we know that's true? Because the beast, the man of sin, the son of perdition, along with the false prophet, what will happen to them? They'll be thrown into the lake of fire, right? Yes. Okay. Now, the whole system isn't thrown in there, but symbolically it is. But the man, who is the beast, and the false prophet, the man, he shall come and shall destroy the city. Now, he doesn't do it right away. Okay. And the sanctuary, but his end shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. Now, this 1 week means 7 years. Okay? Now, what will that covenant be like? Well, let me ring my bell here. Okay? Remember when Donald Trump was working on before he lost the election? Okay? What was the major thing he was focusing on? What was it called? The Abraham Accords. And what was he doing? He was bringing peace between the Jews and the Muslims, right? Now, so let me ring the bell again. Could it be that this is one of the reasons that Donald Trump lost? Because it wasn't time for this peace accord to be enacted. And now it's stopped dead in the water. See? But the beast will make an accord, okay? Confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. All right, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back.